in the procuring entity. So, 5 or 7. Hindi pwedeng 6 kasi wala nang magbe-break ng majority. Okay, dapat 5 or 7. So, yung regular members natin, third ranking, ang chairperson natin, third ranking permanent officials. Then, members representing the legal, administrative, financial, and members representing the end user. Depende po yan sa composition ng BAC. Yung provisional members natin, yung end user natin, at saka with expertise. Depende po sa pinoprocure natin. So, yan po yung sa NGAs. Sa LGUs naman, take note of this. Ito yung mga members natin for provincial cities and municipalities, the representative from regular offices under the Office of the Local Chief Executive and the end user. Pag sa barangay naman, 5-7 regular members of the sangguniang barangay except the punong barangay. Kasi yung punong barangay dito will serve as the head of the procuring entity. So, same pa rin, 5 but not more than 7. The chairperson and dito sa LGUs, the chairperson and the chairperson, the vice chairperson are designated by the local chief executive. Lahat naman ito designated by the local chief executive. Saan po ba yung mga offices na pwede? Administrator's office, pwede tayong kumuha doon, budget office, legal office, engineering office, general services office. Except yung ating chief accountant, hindi siya pwede. Chief accountant and any personnel from the accounting unit. Then local treasurers and assistant treasurer. Pero as representative from the end user unit, pwede sila. Qualification ng members should occupy plantilla position with the procuring entity. So yung ating chairperson must be occupying at least the third ranking officials. Pag wala naman, yung next in rank pag walang available na third ranking officials. Ang natin, yung ating terms is 1 year. So 1 year reckon from the appointment or designation. So yung mga upon expiration, pag wala pang na-designate ulit, so ang gagawin ni BAC, stay put muna siya. Si BAC muna yung previously designated BAC hanggang may ma-designate na bago. In case naman sa mga replacement or mga retirement, separation, transfer, reassignment, removal, or death, the replacement shall serve only the unexpired terms. Pag suspension naman or leave, kung ilan lang yung days of suspensions or leave, doon lang po mag-a-assume yung nagre-replace sa kanya. Okay. Alternate members. So, yung alternate members natin, the hope may designate an alternate member so shall have the same qualifications nung ating regular member. So, presence in the BAC meeting is considered for the purpose of quorum and shall be entitled for to the proportionate honoraria. So, yung pag sinabi nating proportionate honoraria, kung si BAC, regular BAC umaten sa pre-bid, tapos si alternate umaten sa opening, or depende sa hatian nila, kung ano yung participation ni alternate, siya yung makakatanggap doon sa honoraria. The relationship of the principal and the alternate is of co-nature rather than hierarchical. So, the same sila, co-equal in nature. The same. Walang mas mataas kasi alternate lang ako, mas mababa ako sa'yo. Pareho lang yung nila, yung relationship nila. Accountability shall be limited to the respective acts and decisions. So, depende kung sinong nag-attend doon sa corresponding procurement process, like for example, sa public bidding, si alternate umattend doon sa opening, tapos yung opening yung na-question na procurement stage. So, ang involved doon is si alternate kasi siya po yung nandoon. siya yung may accountable doon. The same term as the original members. So, para-pareho lang naman sila ng term as the original members. Functions and responsibility of the BAC. So, ano-ano po ba yung mga functions and responsibility of the BAC? Number 1, recommend approval and or revision of the APP and other reports. So, di ba, yung APP natin, andun na yung mode of procurement. Yung APP natin, ina-approve ni Hope. So, pag gumagawa tayong APP or nag-update tayo ng APP, nagagawa din tayo ng resolution recommending for the approval of the APP or updated APP. Yun po yung recommendation ng back to the Hope for the approval. Conduct bidding process. So, marami po itong pagkakandak ng bidding process natin. So, pag-advertise, pagkakandak ng pre-proc and pre-bid, determine the eligibility of the prospective bidders, receive and open bids, evaluation, post-qualifications. So, marami pong kasama dyan. Recommend award of contract to the Hope or his or her duly authorized representative. So, si BAC din yan. Recommend to the Hope or his duly authorized representative in the imposition of sanctions. So, imposition of sanctions, depende yung isa-sanction. Either yung isa-sanction, yung BAC na nagkamali, or yung bidders na nagkakamali. Conduct periodical assessment of the procurement process and procedures. So, trabaho pa rin ni BAC din. And creation of the technical working group. Hindi po si Hope ang nag-create. Maraming nagkakamali po dito. Minsan, ang nagde-designate pa rin ng TWG is si Hope. Hindi po trabaho ni Hope ang magde-designate ng, ang mag-create ng technical working group. Trabaho po ng BAC ang mag-create ng technical working group. So dapat, yung nakapirma po doon sa designation ng technical working group is yung ating BAC or through the chairperson. So si BAC Secretariat. So, sino-sino po ba yung ating BAC Secretariat? Unang tanong, is there a maximum or minimum requirements for the BAC Secretariat? So, wala po tayong requirements doon. Wala tayong minimum or maximum numbers ng BAC Secretariat. So, kahit ilan ang gusto mo, kahit ilan ang pwede na i-appoint or designate ng head of the procuring entity, pwede. Pero, eto, merong mga BAC Secretariat na ad hoc. Meron namang ibang office din na yung BAC Secretariat is plantilla na. So because of the National Budget Circular, DBM National Budget Circular 2015-558, wherein pwede tayo mag-request ng plantilla position as long na ma-comply po natin yung mga requirements under 2015-558. So, yung may mga BAC Secretariat naman tayo na plantilla na. Pero usually kasi ang meron yan na BAC Secretariat na plantilla sa mga national agencies. I just don't know kung meron na sa LGUs, kung allowed na sila to have plantilla position for the BAC Secretariat. The head of the BAC Secretariat must be at least 5th or 3rd ranking permanent employee if available. So depende po sa setup ng procuring entity. So kung ano yung applicable doon, 5th ba or 3rd ranking. Okay. Hope may create as a procurement unit to act as a BAC Secretariat. Head shall be yung 5th or 3rd ranking. Yan yung sinasabi ko. Depende sa setup ng procuring entity. Okay. Ano po ba yung mga functions ng ating BAC Secretariat? So, medyo marami. Yung 10. Aside from that, diba laging pag 10, ito yung nakalagay sa batas. Minsan mayroon pa others as required by. So, kung ano yung other na inuutos. Kasi ng BAC doon sa BAC Secretariat. So, ano yung mga functions natin? Provide administrative support to the BAC and TWG. So, dati, provide support to the BAC ang nakalagay before the 2016 IRR. Dinagdag yung TWG kasi minsan pag nag-meeting yung TWG, pinapabayaan na ng BAC Secretariat, wala naman sa function nila yun eh. So ngayon, kasama na yung ating TWG. Organize BAC and the TWG meetings and conferences. So si BAC Secretariat ang mag-organize nun. Sila yung magde-draft ng mga notices ng meetings ng TWG and BAC. Prepare minutes of meetings and resolutions of the BAC. So sila rin yung nagda-draft. Take custody of the procurement records. Yung ating mga procurement records, sila po yung may hawak noon. Then manage the sale of distribution of bidding documents. Sila pa rin yun. So, sila kasi yung may hawak ng mga, for example, may public bidding tayo. So, doon sa kanila bumibili. Although, humingi ng order of payment, doon sa account, depende po sa setup kung saan mangingi ng order of payment, tapos saan magbabayad, tapos i-release ni BAC Secretariat yung bidding documents. Then, advertise post-bidding opportunities including bidding documents and notices of awards. Assist in managing procurement process, monitor procurement activities and milestones, consolidate PPMPs and prepare the APPs. Ito yung pinaka medyo mahirap na trabaho yung ng BAC Secretariat, yung pag-consolidate ng PPMPs into APP kasi medyo lalo na kung medyo malaki yung office, marami yung i-consolidate, then act as a central channel of communication. Kasi 'di ba, meron tayong no contact rule. Pag mag-start na po yung no contact rule, si TWG and si BAC hindi na pwedeng makipag-usap doon sa ating mga suppliers or bidders. So, saan po natin dinadaan yung ating request kung may kailangan tayong hingiin sa bidders, kung TWG ka or baka idadaan po natin sa secretariat. Sila po yung magle-letter doon or magre-require sa makikipag-usap doon sa ating mga bidders. Okay. So, technical working group. Tingnan naman natin kung ano yung functions ng technical working group. Saan ba galing yung ating mga technical working group? Technical experts, so legal experts and financial experts. Depende po sa, pag sinabi nating technical experts, depende po sa pinoprocure natin. Pag legal experts, syempre yung ating mga taga-legal department or legal office. Then the financial experts, yung ating from the financial office. Review, ano po ba yung ginagawa nila? Review of the technical specifications, yung scope of works and terms of references. So, before pa lang sa posting, before pa lang mag-start yung bidding process, may trabaho na si technical working group kasi kailangan nilang i-review yung technical specifications, scope of works, and terms of reference na ginawa na ng end user. Sino pang gumagawa nito? Si end user po ang gumagawa ng ating technical specifications, scope of works, and terms of reference. So, pwedeng mag-request si end user to review the technical specifications, scope of works, and terms of reference. Then shortlisting of consultants and eligibility screening, review of bidding documents. So bago i-post ni Secretariat yung bidding documents, kailangang i-review muna ni TWG. Evaluation of bids and post-qualification. So si TWG po ang nagkakandak ng bid evaluation and post-qualification. Of course, ang ginagawa lang naman ni TWG is magre-recommend sa BAC kasi si BAC din naman ang magre-recommend sa HOPE. Okay. End user. So, kasama si end user sa ating procurement actors. Kasi pag wala po si end user, wala po tayong ipoprocure kasi sila po yung gumagawa lahat ng mga documentary requirements. So, prepare actual requirements of the procurement project, plan, prepare, finalize, revise the PPMPs. So, manggagaling po kay end user yung ating mga PR, yung ating mga BPMP, yung ating CBA, market study, feasibility study, tsaka kung ano pa yung activity design. So lahat ng requirements manggagaling po sa kanila. Ano po ba usually ginagawa nila? Sila yung magpe-prepare ng CBA, market study, feasibility study, PPMP, PR, prepare technical specifications, scope of works, terms of reference, prepare schedule of requirements. Dapat kay end user din manggagaling do. Yun, kasi para hindi masisibak. Eh bakit ang tagal-tagal? Wala kaming nilagay na, wala kasing nilagay na requirements or schedule of requirements si end user. Prepare the document for payment terms and conditions. Prepare the warranty requirements and after sales service part. So, yan po lahat ay trabaho ni end user. Okay. Ma'am Kai, back to you for the knowledge check.
Yes, ma'am. For our fourth knowledge check, we are back to the use of our Zoom polling feature. The question is, the agency's internal audit service or unit, or IAS or IAU, is prohibited in participating in the procurement procedures as members of the A. BAC, B. BAC Secretariat, C. Technical Working Group, or D. All of the above. So again, for our Facebook Live viewers, you may also participate by dropping your answers in the comment section. Ma'am, sa tingin po ba kaya natin makaka-perfect na po ang ating mga participants sa ating poll question? I think po, ma'am, majority of our participants have already answered the poll. And 56% of our participants answered letter A. Is this the correct answer, ma'am?
Letter
A, back.
Ako. Dito, hindi sila nakinig. The answer is letter D, all of the above. Kasi internal auditors are prohibited as members of the BAC Secretariat and TWG. So yan po yung nakalagay sa DBM NBC 2020-8 natin. Kasi ang purpose po dito, yung ating internal auditors kasi sila po yung nag-audit sa lahat ng office. So kung kasali po sila as member ng BAC Secretariat and TWG na ino-audit din nila, mawawala po yung ating kumbaga yung ating check, wala nang check and balance yung ano. Kaya pinoprohibit po sila na magiging member ng BAC. Okay. Yes, Ma'am Kai, back to you.
Thank you so much po, ma'am. Let's proceed to our lecture.
Okay. Okay. Let's go to the observers. Ano po ba yung ating functions ng ating mga observers? At saan-saan po ba galing yung ating mga observers? Yung ating mga observers usually galing sa COA, NGOs. Default tong COA. Dapat meron talaga tayong COA. Then, from NGOs, academic institution, religious group, and private group. So, yung ating mga observers, ano po ba yung function nila? Prepare and submit observation report. So, nag-a-attend sila sa mga stages. Then notify the procuring entity of conflict of interest. So, saang stages po ba sila nag-a-attend? Eligibility checking, shortlisting, pre-bid conference, preliminary examination of bids, bid evaluation, and post-qualification. So, dito natin sila sa mga stage na ito, dito natin sila ini-invite. So we have to invite them in writing at least 5 days, 5 days before, 5 days before the date of the eligibility checking, shortlisting, pre-bid conference, preliminary examination of bids, bid evaluation, and post-qualification. So nabanggit ko kanina, their function is to prepare report indicating their observation on the procurement activity. So, saan po ba nila sinasubmit yung kanilang report? Usually, isasubmit nila yung report nila to the procuring entity, but they have to furnish a copy to the GPPB and the Office of the Ombudsman or Resident Ombudsman. Pero ngayon usually wala ng Resident Ombudsman na naka-office sa ano. So, i-furnish nila ang GPPB and Ombudsman. So, pag nag-furnish sila, dapat within ang pagle-letter nila, dapat magsisubmit sila ng report within 7 days. So, after 7 days from the procurement, after each procurement activities. But after 7 days, pag wala silang sinubmit, then it is presumed that the bidding activities conducted by the procuring entity or conducted by the BAC followed the correct procedure. So, meron lang silang 7 days to prepare or submit the report. Pag wala, then presume na okay po yung procurement ng procuring entity. Okay. Ano po bang pwedeng ma-access ng ating mga observers? Pwede silang manghingi free of charge yung minutes of back meeting, abstract of bids, post-qualification summary report, APP and PPMP open proposal. So, of course, kailangan meron tayong signing of confidentiality agreement. Pag sinabi nating signing of confidentiality agreement, meaning kung ano yung hiningi nila sa atin, hindi po nila pwedeng ilabas yun or gagamitin sa ibang bagay. Gagamitin nila yung hinihingi nila sa atin kung kailangan nila ng magawa ng report or kailangan nila, kung meron silang question on the proceedings. But hindi po nila pwedeng ilabas sa iba. Okay. Next is online access naman. Yung ating online, ano po ba yung pwedeng i-access ng ating may bigay na online access to our observers. So, since karamihan naman ng ano natin ngayon is naka-online na, so pwedeng maka-access sa online monitoring for observers using the M-Field GEPs. Second, procuring entity to provide online access to observers for monitoring all stages of the procurement using the M-Field GEPs. So, kung hindi pa natin ginagamit ito, so pwede nating pag-aaralan itong M-Field GEPs na sinasabi. And procuring entity to inform the GPPBTSO via email observer@gppb.gov.ph if online access cannot be provided. So, ito naman yung innovation or updates ng natin under GPPB Circular number 01/2021. So, guidelines. So, itong mga favorite ng BAC members, CWG, and Secretariat. Ito lang naman yung mag-compensate minsan sa pagod na dinanas ng mga BAC members, PWG, and Secretariat. So, guidelines of the grant of honoraria. Tapos, pag nakita natin ganito pala, discourage. Bids and Awards Committee, sino po yung pwede makatanggap? Technical Working Group and the BAC Secretariat, quote-unquote, ad hoc. So, hindi pwedeng makatanggap si BAC Secretariat na plantilla posisyon. Okay. So, magkano po natatanggap nila? The amount granted does not exceed 25% of the respective basic monthly salary. So, hindi po dapat lalagpas doon. So, ano yung basis natin? Is the DBM Circular number 2004-5A dated October 7, 2005 as amended by DBM Budget Circular number 2007-3 dated November 29, 2007. Only for successful completed procurement projects. Ito lang yung pwede. Limited to the procurement that involve ang pwedeng merong honorarium. Competitive bidding, limited source bidding, negotiated procurement, two-phase bidding, and negotiated procurement under Section 53B following the procedure under Section 54 2.2B. So, yan lang ang pwedeng magkakaroon ng honorarium. So, ano for the back secretariat? Yun nga nabanggit ko kanina. For back secretariat, pag ad hoc ka, pwede kang magkaroon ng honoraria. Pero hindi ka pwedeng at the same time may overtime pay. Pag procurement unit, at the same time, secretariat sila, plantilla position, ang pwede lang nilang i-request is overtime pay. Hindi naman sila pwedeng makatanggap ng honoraria. So saan naman po, ano naman po yung mga sources natin for the honorarium or honoraria? Proceeds from sale of bid documents. Proceeds from feature of bid security. Fees charged from copies of minutes of bids of bid openings, back resolutions, and other documentations. Fees from contractor or supplier registry. So kung may mga ganun kayo, protest fees and savings of the procuring entity. So, kung nagpapabayad po tayo, pag halimbawa bumibili or nagre-request sa atin yung ating mga bidders ng copy ng minutes, resolutions, and other documents, tapos gina-charge natin per page, allowed naman po yun. Pero dapat may guidelines lang po kayo kung magkano. Baka naman presyuhan nyo ng sangkatutak na kataasang presyo. So, allowed naman po siya. So, pwede yun. Then, collection from successfully completed projects, procurement projects limited to activities prior to the awarding of the contract to winning bidders. So, pag hindi pa awarded yung contract, wag tayo. Kaya nga ang keyword nun, successful project. Kasi pag hindi pa successful yung project natin, wag muna tayong maningil ng ating honorarium. Baka naman nag-process na tayo ng honorarium, yung pala magfe-failure naman yung ating bidding, natanggap na natin yung ating honorarium. Mag-refund pa tayo. Okay. And amount of honorarium, ang laki-laki. Back chair, 3,000 per transaction naman ito. Back chair, 3,000. Back members, 2,500. Then for the back secretariat ad hoc, ang TWG, 2,000. So ito yung ating amount na matatanggap per transaction. But take note, not more than 25% of your monthly salary. So kung mababa yung iyong monthly salary, so kahit halimbawa yung salary mo is 20,000. So magkano po ba yung 25% of your monthly salary? 5,000 lang yung monthly ang pwede mong matanggap. So kung meron kang 10 transaction, ibig sabihin hindi mo siya matanggap lahat. Hindi ka, hanggang doon ka lang sa 25%. Hindi ka pwedeng lumagpas doon. Okay, Ma'am Kai, let's go to knowledge check.
Yes, ma'am. We are now down to our final knowledge check for this topic. To our participants, please answer through the Zoom poll feature. The question is, the back secretariat performing attendant function in addition to their regular duties and functions may be paid honoraria at the same rate as the TW chair and members. Is this statement true or false? So again, our participants may answer through the Zoom polling feature so that our answers may be recorded. I think, ma'am, we have the majority of our participants, and majority answered false. Is this the correct answer, ma'am?
Sorry Ma'am Kai, medyo nag-choppy ka.
Opo, majority of our participants answered false. Is this the correct answer po, Ma'am Leslie?
The correct answer is, question is, back secretariat performing attendant functions in addition to the regular duties and function may be paid honoraria at the same rate of the TWG. Performing attendant function. Inano ko kanina yun, in-emphasize ko. Kaya sabi ko pa nga, quote-unquote ad hoc. Meaning, the answer is true. They can receive honorarium kasi ad hoc po sila. Hindi are not plantilla position. So, kaya pwede po silang mag-receive ng honoraria. So, mayroon tayong medyo maraming hindi po na nakuha yung answer. Okay? Answer is true. They can receive honoraria. Same with the TWG.
Okay, to our participants, okay lang po, bawi-bawi na lang po tayo sa mga next knowledge check for succeeding topic. Thank you po, ma'am.
Okay,
so let's
po.
proceed po.
Okay. For the next topic is the legal indemnification package for the bids and awards committee. Okay. Yung ating legal indemnification package, una, what is indemnification ba? Indemnification. This refers to the assistance or remuneration given to the members of the back and or the back support staff for any loss, damage, or injury caused to them by reason of the lawful performance of their duty. Take note, you can only receive assistance if you are lawfully performing your duty. Lawful ang nakalagay doon, lawful. So, lawfully performing your duty. So, paano ba ma-prove it? Ma-prove ito? So, it's up for the back or members ng TWG or secretariat to prove that they are lawfully performing their duty. Medyo mahirap nga ito kasi ang burden of proof nasa iyo. Kung ikaw ba'y nagpe-perform lawfully, kinumpay. Pag sinabing lawfully, kinumply mo ba lahat ng mga requirements under RA 9184 or procedures under RA 9184? So, for this, there are 3 na general conditions. Free assistance, liability insurance, and medical assistance. Ito po yung ating tatlo sa indemnification package na pwedeng i-avail. So, number 1, free legal assistance, liability insurance, and medical assistance. Okay. Punta tayo doon sa free legal assistance. Pag sinabi natin free legal assistance, this is an indemnification of the back members and or any of the back support staff who was or is a party to a pending or completed action, suit, or proceeding, whether civil, criminal, or administrative in nature, brought against him in the performance of his official functions as back members or support staff. So yan po yung ating free legal assistance. So ano-ano po ba yung indemnified by the procuring entity? So pag indemnified by the procuring entity, then engage the services of the private lawyer or external counsel. Ito yung ating mga conditions. So, have not been adjudged. Pwede ka lang mag-grant ng legal assistance if you have not been adjudged as guilty of gross negligence, misconduct, or grave abuse of discretion. So, kung hindi mo pala ma-prove na hindi ka guilty ng gross negligence, misconduct, and abuse of discretion, hindi mo pwedeng i-avail yung ating legal assistance. Then, ano pa ba? Legal assistance shall cover actual cost and fees with maximum of 5,000 pesos per appearance. Hanggang dyan ka lang sa 5,000 per appearance. Hindi pwedeng lumagpas dyan. And then, shall not cover any action or suit initiated in person and personal capacity and initiated by the government against the concerned back members of the or staff. So kung ang nag-file sa iyo ang procuring entity, kung ang nag-file sa against the back is the procuring entity, hindi niya po pwedeng i-avail yung free legal assistance. Then entitled to actual, moral, and exemplary damages. Ito yung mga conditions and entitlement ng ating legal free legal assistance. For the insurance liability naman, una, no, the procuring entity shall have the responsibility to procure and maintain adequate liability insurance for and in behalf of the back members or back support staff. So, si procuring entity yung magpo-procure nito. We tried this before pero medyo mahirap yung liability insurance kasi may mga conditions na minsan hindi nako-comply ng mga procuring entity. Pero kung ano ka rin talaga, decided ka rin talaga kahit ano pa yung recommendations, lalo na pag medyo malalaki yung mga public bidding natin, mga billions yung ating public bidding. So mas maigi na rin tayo, meron tayong insurance. Next is the liability insurance policy shall cover only those liabilities asserted against the public officials and incurred by him in his capacity as such back members or back support staff as the case may be. Kasama lagi si back support staff ito, meaning ito yung TWG pwede dito at saka si Secretariat kasi nga ang mga back members natin, kung makakasuhan daw sila, syempre kasama si TWG kasi sila yung nagre-recommend. Sabi naman ni TWG, kung makakasuhan kami, kasama din si Secretariat kasi sila naman nagde-draft ng mga resolution, etc. etc. So, kanya-kanyang proof na yon kung guilty ka or not. Then the insurance insurer shall pay for the loss arising from the claim or suit made against the back members or back support staff during the policy period wherein they serve in such capacity. So, kung ano yung nawala sa back members, kung ano yung mga claims na nawala sa kanya, babayaran po yun ni insurance, yung ni insurance company kung meron tayong liability insurance. Okay. Another is for of purposes of this insurance, the term loss shall include judgment expenses for settlement or compromise, as well as all reasonable fees and other expenses incurred by such persons in connection with any administrative, civil, criminal action, suit, or proceedings to which they may be or have been made a party by reason of the lawful performance of their official functions and duties in such capacity, provided further, that such back members or back support staff shall not be adjudged in such action or proceeding to be guilty of gross negligence, misconduct, grave abuse of discretions, or guilty of any other complaint as charge or charges. So, take note of that kung gusto nyo pong mag-avail ng liability insurance. So, ito po yung ating mga conditions. Another is, in the event of settlement or compromise, indemnification shall be confined only to matters covered by the settlement. So, hindi ka pwedeng mag-additional charges. Kung meron kang additional charges na nagastos, hindi siya pwede. Kasi ang i-covered mo lang is yung cover the settlement and to which the procurement entity has been advised by counsel that the person to be indemnified have not committed gross negligence, misconduct, grave abuse of discretion in the performance of their duties and functions. So, laging kasabay po dyan yung pag-prove natin kung member tayo ng back TWG or back staff, support staff, lagi yung hindi tayo guilty ng gross negligence, misconduct, or grave abuse of discretion in the performance of our functions. And of course, the procurement of liability insurance shall be subject to the setting of schedule of premium by the GPPB. So, yan po yung ating liability insurance. Next is yung third, yung ating medical assistance. So, ano-ano po ba yung pwede nating conditions dito? Medical assistance shall be provided to back members and back support staff for injuries, disabilities incurred in the lawful performance of their official functions and duties. Like for example, si TWG, ang bidder kasi malayo. So, kailangan niya mag-travel, bumiyahe. Huwag naman sana nagkaroon ng disgrasya. So, nagkaroon ng injuries. So, pwede pong, pag may medical assistance, pwede pong mag-claim si TWG. Pasok po dito. The claimant shall be entitled to indemnification for any injury or disability resulting from the performance of their official functions as defined by the law and without any contributory negligence on their part. So meaning, we have to prove first that wala pong contributory negligence on our part bago tayo maka-claim. nakalagay dito, the claimant shall be entitled to indemnification, meaning ikaw muna magbayad, i-reimburse ka lang. Then the claimant or her relatives must notify the head of the procuring entity within 7 calendar days from the occurrence of the injury or disability. Okay. Ano pa ba? Another is that the medical assistance herein provided shall consist of indemnification for medicines, laboratory, and hospitalization expenses, provided that the amount claimed shall not exceed the actual amount incurred, substantiated by receipts and other supporting documents. Ano? Ikaw na nga na disgrasya. Ikaw na nga na lahat-lahat gumastos. Kailangan mo palang, even a single receipt, kailangan mong itago yon para makaklaim ka. Then indemnification shall only be made upon presentation of the proof of payment in connection with the injury or disability suffered. So pag wala kang proof, wala kang reimbursement. And the medical assistance granted herein shall be granted to the claimant as a matter of right and subject to the conditions mandated by law. So yan po yung ating medical assistance. Okay, Ms. Kai, yan po yung last topic natin for the Procurement 101.
All right, that ends our discussion proper for today's first learning session. That was Ms. Leslie Canyafranca of the Department of the Interior and Local Government. And again, thank you very much, ma'am, for leading an in-depth discussion on Government Procurement 101. Of course, we would like to also thank our participants for actively participating in our knowledge check portion, and congratulations again to our knowledge check winner. We would like to also thank everyone this early for bearing with us as we address technical challenges, especially nowadays that we are in the virtual session era. Rest assured that we are exhausting all means necessary to provide you not just an in-depth set of discussions, but a smooth sailing program as well, because we hashtag make things happen. To proceed with an open forum, please be reminded that questions which are initially gathered from the Zoom chat box and from our Facebook Live comment section are filtered and categorized, as our speaker shall only be answering the questions related to our learning session. Nevertheless, rest assured that all questions raised and received are documented, which shall form part of our frequently asked questions. Once again, we have our resource speaker, Ms. Leslie Canyafranca, ma'am.
Okay, Ms. Kai, let's proceed with the open forum. Then maybe after the open forum, we can have a short break for the participants to have a coffee break or CR break.
Yes, ma'am. For our technical team, kindly flash the first question, please.
Okay. For the first question, kailangan na po ba mag-attend ng observers during the pre-procurement? The answer is no. Hindi pa kailangan ni observer umattend during the pre-procurement kasi during the pre-procurement, inaayos pa lang natin pina-finalize pa lang natin yung ating procurement. So, ang attendees pa lang natin doon is, of course, dapat hindi mawawala si end user kasi sila po yung magpo-present ng kanilang project, the BAC, the TWG, and the secretariat. So, wala pa tayong observers doon.
Thank you. For a second question, please.
Kung wala pong BAC ang sangguniang kabataan, pwede po ba silang makipag-MOA with LGU, munisipyo para sila makipag-bid sa mga projects ng SK? Yung payment po ng bid document sa SK po ba o sa LGU mapunta? Okay. Merong guidelines for separate dito sa SK, creation ng SK back. But however, pag wala pang hindi pa nakabuo yung back, hindi pa makabuo yung SK ng back, pwede silang makipag makipag-bid or kumbaga makipag-MOA with LGU. Pero ang mangyayari kasi dito is ang munisipyo is parang magiging agent nila to conduct their bidding kasi the fund is sa SK. So kumbaga, kung kailangan mong si SK, si munisipyo or LGU ang mag-bid, you have to transfer the money doon sa kanila kasi sila na yung lahat, the whole process ng payment, unless kung meron kayong nilagay, pero usually kasi pag agent, you have to transfer the money. Sila na lahat doon. Yung payment ng bid docs, yung sa LGU na lahat mapupunta yun kasi sila na yung agent nyo to procure. Parang just like for example yung sa DILG, pag kami yung nag-procure sa mga attached agencies namin, so dapat yung pera na transfer sa amin. So ibig sabihin lahat ng procurement process na sa amin. Ang i-deliver na lang sa SK is yung kung ano yung kanilang pinaprocure. Kumbaga tapos na lahat. And then, kung merong sobra for the procurement or may savings, yun yung ibabalik sa inyo ng LGUs. So, meaning, yung payment po ng bid docs, sa LGU po yun napupunta. Kasi sila po yung nag-conduct ng bidding. Hindi po si SK kasi ang nag-conduct ng bidding. Right, ma'am?
Thank you so much, ma'am. For second to the last question, please.
Okay. Can a back member... sige, ma'am.
Sige po, ma'am.
Okay. Can a back member inhibit during the bidding procedures if his or her department is the end user? Ayun yung unang tanong ko dito, bakit mag-i-inhibit siya? Kasi yung end user nga natin pwedeng magiging member ng back. Kasi yun, mas alam mo yung project. Actually, kung mag-inhibit ka, there are reasons dapat or legal reasons. Like for example, may bidders na related sa'yo. So, pwede yun yung mga reasons ng inhibition eh. Pero pag yung nag-inhibit ka because you are the end user, parang hindi siya yung pinaka-good reason. Sa tingin ko, hindi siya good reason to inhibit. Pero kung ano man po yung reason ni back member, aside from being the end user, I think pwede siya. Pero pag being an end user, hindi po siya dapat ang rason na mag-inhibit ka. Kasi dapat nga, nandoon ka to protect or kasi ikaw yung knowledgeable doon sa project na i-implement or ipoprocure. Okay, Ma'am Kai?
Thank you. For last question, saan po i-claim ang reimbursement or saan budget maaari kuhanin ang medical assistance?
Ma'am,
Again po,
nawala yung
saan
question.
po Opo, ma'am,
Okay.
pahabol po actually ito.
Okay.
Ang question po is, saan po pwede i-claim ang reimbursement or saang budget maaari kuhanin ang medical assistance?
Budget. Particularly sa budget nyo, wala siyang, actually, doon sa rules, wala siyang particular kung saan mo kuhanin yung budget. Depende po yan sa procuring entity. So, pag re-reimburse, kung halimbawa meron kayong insurance, kasi 'di ba binabayaran yung insurance natin. Binabayaran natin. So magki-claim tayo doon sa insurance company natin. Kung kanino tayo kumbaga kanino tayo nag-procure o bumili ng insurance. So, 'di ba pag insurance, meron tayong it's either monthly amortization po ba yung tawag doon or monthly na hulog or binabayaran natin yearly, depende, annually ba, semestral ba? So nagbabayad tayo doon. So once mag-claim tayo ng assistance or yung insurance, doon sa insurance company natin ipapa-reimburse. So, of course, the process may be depende sa agreement ng insurance company at saka ng procuring entity kung paano yung proseso ng pagre-reimburse ng funds or pagre-reimburse ng iyong mga gastos or insurance.
Ma'am, can we accommodate a follow-up question po din sa question natin on the SK? The question is, since SK back members are not yet registered sa PhilJeps for reason of posting advertisement, okay lang po ba na yung backsec ng LGU ang mag-post for them?
Madali lang
Again
naman po. Actually, pwede mo gamitin yung account ng LGU kung wala pang account yung SK. Hindi naman po siya bawal kasi hindi ka talaga makapag-post. Pero for those SK na medyo hindi pa naka-register, madali lang pong mag-register sa PhilJeps. Madali lang pong mag-request ng account. Yun lang, may kailangan lang. Siguro through the help ng LGU, kung saan kayo under, kasi kailangan kasi pag may ang isang agency or ang isang procuring entity, kailangan kasi may coordinator. So, pag sinabi nating coordinator, for example, ako yung coordinator sa DILG. So, pag may nag-register, i-email sa akin yon or isi-send sa akin yon ng PhilJeps para i-approve ko or hindi. Kasi dapat ma-filter din natin yung pagre-register. Hindi lang kung basta-basta sino-sino lang ang pwedeng mag-register. So, yun yung pwedeng i-workout. For the meantime, pag wala po, siguro you can use the LGU. Hindi naman po yun bawal. Pero indicate nyo lang na that's procurement ng SK para makita po na ito ay project ng procurement. Pero ako as advice na magkaroon kayo ng sarili nyong account sa PhilJeps.
All right, I think that was our last question under Government Procurement 101. Again, thank you very much, ma'am. Now, at this juncture, before we proceed to our second and final learning session for today, let us watch a short audiovisual presentation on government procurement. We may likewise utilize this portion to have a short bio break. For questions, you may still drop in our Zoom chat box and or Facebook Live comments section as our resource speaker shall be back again later to answer and accommodate them after our break. Thank you very much and see you after 10 minutes.
Barely 2 months into 2020, and as countries grapple to contain the coronavirus pandemic, we saw an unprecedented disruption of the global supply chain, with most countries implementing varying levels of lockdown and quarantine measures. Manufacturers and suppliers had very limited operations, with their raw materials and supply source unable to reach their factories and shops, with a temporary embargo on freight and logistics. In some cases, for the first time, to procure personal protective equipment and related supplies. What used to be a procurement project undertaken by hospitals and allied medical offices is now trusted upon most government procurement practitioners. This poses a huge risk to the quality of procurement as procuring entities scramble to buy in large quantities in the fastest time possible, but with asymmetrical or limited market information. Moreover, with the community quarantine being imposed in most parts of the country, particularly in urban areas, a number of prospective bidders were unable to physically submit or attend pre-bid conference and opening of bids, resulting in a number of cancelled or even failed biddings. And with telecommuting being implemented in most government agencies, the conduct of procurement activities was made even more challenging, given the unreliable internet connection, traditional paper-based records keeping, and with some official documents requiring handwritten signatures for processing, all of which compounded the already difficult and complex work of government procurement practitioners. Emergency procurement in times of crisis inevitably opens door for inefficient acquisitions by people under severe time pressure, for some unintentionally but others occurring as a result of corruption. As we have seen other countries struggle in the response to the pandemic, the Philippines, through the Government Procurement Policy Board Technical Support Office, foresaw the need to anticipate procurement constraints given the grave and possibly prolonged effects of the coronavirus pandemic. As early as March 9, 2020, the GPPB met and issued Resolution number 03-2020, adopting efficient, effective, and expedient procurement procedures during a state of public health emergency. As shown here, negotiated procurement under emergency cases can now be undertaken with 4 simple steps. This was made possible with the streamlining of the existing procedure being undertaken. Thus, the rules now dispense with the requirement of a written confirmation from the head of the procuring entity of the existence and veracity of the grounds relied upon. The board likewise expressly included the instances or situations where emergency procurement may be applied, such as the provision of immediate response and initial recovery steps to avoid loss of life, injury, disease, and other negative effects on human, physical, mental, and social well-being, together with damage to property, destruction of assets, loss of services, social and economic disruption, and environmental degradation, as well as the lease of real property or venue for use as quarantine centers, evacuation sites, medical relief and aid distribution locations, warehousing facilities, or similar temporary disaster or emergency response facility. This enabled procuring entities to readily adopt emergency procurement for the purchase of COVID-19 related items. Upon the declaration of a state of public health emergency by the President, the GPPB Technical Support Office immediately coordinated with the Department of Health and the Procurement Service to identify items that will be needed by most agencies so they can be included in the list of common use supplies and equipment which the Procurement Service can buy in bulk and take advantage of economies of scale. This includes alcohol, sanitizers, thermometers, personal protective equipment, gloves, mass testing kits, among others. Agencies can then readily purchase these items from the procurement service when available, giving them more time to focus on other equally important tasks. And when Congress passed the Bayanihan to Heal as One Act, the GPPB immediately issued the Bayanihan Procurement Rules, which included a provision on direct purchase from local farmers. The board likewise simplified the documentary requirements for this modality. Accordingly, procuring entities intending to directly buy from a local farmer need only to ask a submission of any of the following: a certification from the Department of Agriculture that the farmer is in the registry system for basic sectors in agriculture, or RSBSA, or his RSBSA identification card, or a barangay certification that he is a bona fide farmer. We also approved the adoption and use of simplified PBDs, or public bidding documents for goods and infrastructure projects, or the 6th edition PBDs. This was done through Resolution number 15-2020, dated July 28, 2020.
Would be the primary document.
I think Dr. now is quite big. At least kung i-set all of the rules and the guidelines inside, naka-post siya sa website, we have to replicate it in the bid notes. Just limit it to several pages para ma-minimize natin ang failure.
It may be noted that the PBDs for the procurement of goods have been reduced to 40 pages from the original 112 pages, while infrastructure projects went down to 35 pages from the original of 113 pages. The GPPB came up with a simplified version of the previous edition to address the confusion and varied interpretations of the procuring entities and bidders on the clauses of the 5th edition PBDs in relation to the provision of RA 9184 and associated issuances. The sheer volume of the previous PBDs and resulting confusion and differing interpretation caused a significant number of disqualification and ultimately failure of biddings. With the simplified PBDs and its accompanying circular, procuring entities are easily guided by the standard rules in the use of the PBDs, which uses clear and simple language. The simplification of the PBDs came after 4 grueling months of studying the repeated queries posed by procuring entities in the use of the PBDs, as well as reviewing the common causes of disqualification and conducting a series of consultation with procuring entities, before the same was made effective last October 6, 2020. The GPPB TSO likewise held an online unboxing event last September 21, 2020, together with the Secretary Avisado, followed by a webinar to discuss the contents of the PBDs and address clarificatory questions. The simplification of the PBDs is but a first step in streamlining the conduct of public procurement. the GPPB Technical Support Office, in collaboration with the United States Agency for International Development, established the Online PBD Builder. This is a web-based online facility that will assist procuring entities in preparing their PBDs. With a simple click of a button, procuring entities need only to encode the details of their procurement projects, choose from drop-down options, and upload the bidding documents when finished. That is all there is to it. No more errors, no more confusion, no more double-checking of updated forms, no more repetitive downloading of files. We officially launched the Online PBD Builder last January 20, 2021 during the 3rd Annual Procurement Forum. For the first time, the Commission on Audit and the GPPB issued a joint memorandum circular last March 26, 2020, expressly providing that during the state of public health emergency declared by the President, procuring entities are allowed to resort to negotiated procurement emergency cases for the procurement of goods, infrastructure projects, and consulting services that are directly related to the mitigation and containment of the transmission of COVID-19 in order for procuring entities to properly and timely respond to this public health emergency. This joint issuance by the COA and the GPPB provided confidence to procuring entities which have been risk-averse in the use of emergency procurement for fear of COA observation or disallowance. In consideration of the limited access to financial institutions, regulatory and other offices, as well as the implementation of government restrictions on transport and travel, the GPPB allowed procuring entities to accept alternate documentary requirements for procurement activities undertaken during a state of calamity or during the implementation of community quarantine or similar restrictions, declared or being implemented either in the locality of the procuring entity or of the bidder. This includes a notarized bid securing declaration, expired business or mayor's permit with official receipt of renewal application, a notarized omnibus sworn statement, and performance securing declaration in lieu of the performance security to guarantee the winning bidder's faithful performance of obligations under the contract, all of which are subject to compliance with the lacking requirement after award of contract but before payment. And with the birth of a totally different procurement ecosystem resulting from this pandemic, the GPPB reminded procuring entities on the use of video conferencing and other digital technologies, which was authorized way back in 2018. This will be used in the conduct of procurement activities such as pre-bid conference, opening of bids, and post-qualification activities. The board also allowed the suspension of procurement activities beginning March 9, 2020, following the declaration by the President of a state of public health emergency throughout the Philippines, subject to the determination by the BAC of the existence of any of the grounds for suspension of the conduct of procurement activities. This includes subsequent tolling of the periods for the procurement projects covered by the suspension, including the running of the 3-month period to award the contract and terminate the procurement process under Section 38 of Republic Act No. 9184. The Board, mindful of the concerns in the issuance of the CNAS or the Certificate of Non-Availability of Stocks for common use supplies and equipment not available with the PS, has come up with an innovative way to enable procuring entities to procure the same elsewhere without securing a CNAS. Thus, procuring entities need only to keep a record of the proof of unavailability of the CSE as shown in the PS website, such as a printed form of the web page or a screenshot of the same showing the date and time that it was accessed. The GPPB TSO, even prior to the start of the COVID-19 pandemic, has been issuing anticipatory non-policy matter opinions to readily guide procuring entities in the conduct of their procurement projects and address frequently asked questions. This has proven to be useful in providing immediate relief to procuring entities who are in need of clarifications in their interpretation of rules, especially under a work-from-home arrangement. For smart and efficient conduct of BAC activities, the GPPB as early as 2018 has authorized virtual meetings of the Bids and Awards Committee, and in 2019, it encouraged the use of digital signature in all procurement-related documents. While the uptick was a bit slow when these were authorized, it dramatically changed with the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic this year, making virtual meetings and the use of digital signature very much a staple in the new normal. The COVID-19 pandemic accelerated many of our digital transformation initiatives, among which is the mandatory electronic submission of procurement reports and our ongoing automation efforts, all aimed at establishing a structured data management system crucial in providing evidence-based policy recommendations to the GPPB and for a meaningful and timely procurement monitoring. This year, we also started with the use of data analytics in extending interim procurement diagnostics to pilot agencies. To complete the online transformation in the conduct of public procurement, the GPPB has authorized electronic and online bid submission. Any form of electronic submission that carries a two-factor security procedure may be used for the submission of bids to ensure the security, integrity, and confidentiality thereof. Currently, there are 179 procuring entities using electronic bid submission. Once again, with the technical assistance from the United States Agency for International Development or USAID, the GPPB TSO was able to launch and utilize the GPPB online portal, ensuring greater transparency and accountability for procurements conducted pursuant to the Bayanihan to Heal as One Act. Given the posting limitations of the PhilJeps, the GPPB TSO sought the help of USAID to develop this portal and provide the digital space for procuring entities to post all of their awarded contracts pursuant to the Bayanihan Act. We are currently finalizing the data analytics of the buying patterns of the government, both national and local, in response to this pandemic. Contract and supplier details are likewise available online without need for registration. Just go to our website at www.gppb.gov.ph and look for the icon GPPB online portal. Indeed, public accountability can never be sacrificed over expediency, even in times of crisis. By providing an open and inclusive digital space through the GPPB online portal, we are able to spot questionable procurement projects and call on procuring entities to account for their actions. On the other hand, the GPPB online blacklisting portal is an in-house developed platform by our very own Information Management Division in the GPPB Technical Support Office. It was developed primarily to ensure timely, accurate, and complete information on blacklisted entities. The OBP, as we call it, has an automatic notification feature to the PhilJeps for blacklisted entities suspended by a procuring entity. This signals the PhilJeps to cancel the registration of the blacklisted supplier for the covered period. This will then prevent the award of contracts by other procuring entities to the said blacklisted supplier. Secondly, and this is why the development of the OBP was accelerated, to complement the virtual conduct of post-qualification proceedings in light of the health safety protocols being imposed all over the country. Procuring entities and the public in general can now readily access the consolidated blacklisting report online through the GPPB website. Just look for the OBP icon. And because transparency in procurement also means empowering stakeholders with accurate and timely information through effective and innovative channels in order to bridge the gap on access to information brought about by this pandemic, the GPPB TSO can now be reached through Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Just look for Government Procurement PH. To complement this, we have likewise been using information, education, and communication materials such as infographics, as well as audiovisual presentations on our website and social media pages. Beginning April of this year, we have shifted to digital learning with the conduct of and participation in webinars, online trainings, online ugnayan, and with the launch of our digital learning series. With more than 30 online training programs and webinars, participated by almost 9,000 procurement practitioners, suppliers, and CSO representatives, and joined by more than 200,000 Facebook viewers. We were able to effectively disseminate the changes and enhancements implemented to assist procuring entities in their procurement activities. Maraming salamat po sa inyong suporta. With your trust and support, we in the GPPB Technical Support Office are here to make things happen.
I hope everyone is back. Again, that was a short audiovisual presentation on the efficient and responsive procurement reforms and measures, as well as the latest policy issuances of the GPPB TSO. For more quick guides on government procurement and other related short videos and audiovisual presentations, you may visit our official website at gppb.gov.ph. At this juncture, we are down to our second and final learning session of today's program to discuss and share her expertise on efficient procurement measures, simplified posting, electronic submission of procurement reports, procurement updates, policies, and innovations. Once again, let us have our resource person, Ms. Leslie Canyafranca. Ma'am?
Okay, welcome back. Sana tapos na tayong mag-coffee, mag-CR break. Hindi lang mawala bago ako mag-start with the with the efficient measures. Kasing laging nagpo-flash tong question from Municipality of Clemente ata. About the 25%. Ay, Clemente ba ito? May tanong po kasi, sasagutin ko na lang siya. Pwede po bang back honorarium is computed on 25% of annual basic pay instead of 25 of monthly pay? Nakalagay po kasi doon sa ating DBM Circular 2004A is monthly. So, we have to follow that monthly. Kasi baka later on, ma-audit po tayo, baka lalagpas tayo. May nangyari na po yan na hindi kami nag based on the monthly, but ang naisip namin is annual. So, nung kinompute ng COA, nag-basis sila is monthly. So, iwasan lang po natin yung magiging annual instead of monthly. Baka later on, maka-question siya because ang nakalagay po sa circular is monthly. Then, yung kanina, may pwede po bang equally distributed? Parang yan yung nakita ko, ang ating honorarium. Same circular pa rin, naka-indicate po kung magkano ang allowable. 2,000, 3,000, and 2,500. So, dapat i-follow po natin yung instruction or yung computation na po yun. Okay. We'll start with the second topic, the efficient procurement measures. So, mag-share screen lang po ako. Okay. So, efficient procurement measures, simplified posting and electronic submission of procurement reports, procurement updates and policies, and innovation. So ito po yung mga makikita natin dito, yung mga bagong innovations, so mga issuances ng ating GPPB. So, okay. So, for the objectives, by the end of this module, participants should be able to, number one, acquire knowledge on efficient procurement measures amidst calamity and procurement community quarantine through Gpp Resolution 09-2020. And then appraise on the simplified posting and submission of procurement reports. Importante din to kung kailan yung mga deadline natin for the submission. And updated on the latest policies and innovations on Government Procurement Reform Act. So makikita nyo mamaya On the later part, yung mga resolutions, kung ano yung mga updates natin. So, i-take note nyo lang para may basis po tayo for mga innovations natin. So, for the outline, we have efficient procurement measures during a state of calamity or implementation of community quarantine, simplified posting and electronic submission of procurement reports, procurement updates, policies and innovation, accountability and transparency in government procurement, and shift to digital platform. So ito po yung isa-isahin natin this morning para po sa ating discussion. So efficient measures during the state of calamity. Ano po yung legal basis natin dito? So, ang ating legal reference dito is Gpp Resolution 09-2020 dated May 7, 2020 and took effect on May 15, 2020. So, ano po ba yung nakalagay dito? To provide guidance and procedures from the efficient conduct of all procurement activities regardless of the procurement modality during the nationally or locally declared state of calamity where movement of people and mass public and private transportation is limited. So ating mga measures nandito po, i-discuss natin isa-isa. Question, what are we going to do if we have an ongoing procurement and there is a declaration of state of calamity or health emergency? So ano po ba yung gagawin natin? Punta tayo sa Gpp Resolution 09-2020 para doon natin makita kung ano po ba yung mga kailangan nating gagawin para hindi tayo magkaroon ng maraming backlog o maiwasan natin yung ating backlog. Kasi nandito sa Gpp 09-2020 yung ating mga measures on how to address yung ating mga backlogs, on how to address paano natin ituloy yung ating mga procurement despite there is calamity or there is a nationally or locally declared state of calamity. And yung movement natin, kumbaga makikita natin pero ang Metro Manila ngayon nasa level 2 na ata, lalo na yung ating mga provinces at saka yung ating siguro yung ating mga ibang regions medyo mas maluwag na, medyo bumalik na tayo paunti-unti sa ating dating buhay. Pero of course, kailangan pa rin natin ng mga innovations or measures kung paano pa rin natin mapabilis yung ating procurement process or yung ating procurement activities. So, what are the measures for the efficient conduct of procurement activities regardless of the procurement modality? So, number 1, ito yung assessment and review of 2020 procurement projects. Actually, 2020, but still you can use this for your 2021. Pag sinabi nating assess or assessment and review, the procuring entity will assess and review all the plans and ongoing procurement for the fiscal year. Kung ano na tayo ngayon, 2021, fiscal year 2021, and identify which shall be discontinued or terminated. So, dagdagan na lang natin discontinued, terminated. Pwede na rin nating dagdag yung suspended kung hindi naman kailangan i-discontinue natin o i-terminate natin. So, i-suspend lang natin. So, pwedeng discontinue, pwedeng termination, or pwedeng i-continue, or pwedeng i-suspend. This is in relation to the issuance of DBM circular, yung ating NBC 580, adoption of economy measures in the government due to the emergency health situation. So, however, the procuring entity will only review their plans and ongoing procurement because of the NBC. But also, in the future, kung magkaroon ng similar situation, pwede nating magamit ito. Review the existing project requirements for the procurement projects that will be pursued to ensure that the same covers only what procuring entity needs and can actually implement within the year. So, isa-isahin mo yun lahat ng projects mo na nakalagay. Kaya po naka-emphasize siya for 2020. Kasi itong resolution na to 2020 na issue. Because during the 2020, ito yung peak nung ating ito yung peak nung ating pandemic. At the same time, hindi mo alam kung nakikinig yung nandoon yung mga audience mo or yung mga participants mo. So, pero unti-unting kung unti-unti mo, lagi mong ginagawa, parang naa-adapt mo na rin. Actually, the use of video conferencing, webcasting, and similar technology in the conduct of back meetings, hindi na ito bago because the GPPB already issued a Resolution 24/2018 pa lang na yung use ng video conferencing, webcasting, and similar technologies in the conduct of any meetings and determine the quorum ng back. Hindi lang natin talaga ito nabigyan ng pansin before kasi nga sanay tayo na face-to-face. Sanay tayo na yung mga meetings natin is face-to-face para nagkakausap. Talagang iba naman talaga yung nasa webinar lang or nasa Zoom ka lang sa face-to-face. So, ang nangyari, hindi natin nabibigyan ng pansin ito. However, ngayon, sa panahon nating ito, medyo ito naman yung gamit na gamit. Yung paggamit natin ng video conferencing, yung webcasting. So, ito naman siyang gamit-gamit. Gamit na gamit natin ngayon. As to rules, there's no specific technology required. Walang requirement. There's no specific requirements. Bahala po ang procuring entity kung ano yung internal rules nila. So, kumbaga, walang inisyo ang GPPB as to standardize kung anong rules ang gagamitin in using this. It's up for the procuring entity to determine. So, ikaw, procuring entity, ikaw yung mag-come up ng rules for this. And then, yung ating, the GPPB, leave to the procuring entity in the implementation. So, dapat, mapoprotektahan kasi natin in using this, mapoprotektahan natin yung security protocols ng ating agency. So, that's why walang in-issue yung GPPB to standardize the rules in using this. So, another one is the use of digital signature in the procurement-related documents. So, again, this is not new provision. Kasi meron na rin tayong Gpp Resolution 16/2019 na pwede tayong gumamit ng digital signatures. 2016 lang, ang allowed po doon is kailangan mo lang i-apply sa DICT. Kailangan yung mag-apply ka sa DICT. So iba yung dito kasi sa Resolution 09-2020, medyo nilawakan siya. If your signature was already registered in the DICT, para siyang may safety features actually na accordingly, once na ginalaw yung document na pinirmahan mo using the digital signature, yung signature mo automatic na mawawala. Yun yung sa feature ng DICT. So, kailangan mo mag-apply sa DICT noon, kailangan ni BAC mag-apply doon sa DICT, TWG, or sa kung sino man yung nagre-require na maggamit nito. Ang kaibahan lang doon sa other forms of digital signature is yung mga isig natin is allowed siya. Allowed siya dito under Resolution 09/2020. However, depende nga, sabi ko nga kanina, depende po sa procuring entity na magkaroon ng security features or security feature para doon sa signature ng BAC. Kasi sila po yung magko-control noon. So actually, yung mga IT natin, alam nila yan, na yung mga isig, may mga system na pwedeng i-lock. So hindi rin siya magagawa ng kumbaga hindi mababago, hindi magagalaw, hindi makakopy yung signature. So, but of course, the BAC must issue guidelines on this, kung paano gamitin, kailan gamitin. So, pwede mong, for example, approval of resolution, para lang yung may proof si Secretariat na sinabi ni BAC na okay, fix my signature. Pwede kayong magkaroon ng sa Google something, hindi kasi ako masyadong techie, yung Google na maggawa kayo ng poll para doon mag-signify si BAC or okay, voting yes or affirmative, affix my signature. So doon makikita mo or may hawak si Secretariat na umukay si BAC na i-affix yung signature niya doon sa resolution. So may mga ganong guidelines. Depende po yun sa procuring entity. And then, submission Next is submission of procurement documents through email. Submission of procurement-related documents except for the submission on receipt of bids, through electronic mail or facsimile shall be allowed, subject to the submission of the printed copies as soon as practicable as determined by the BAC. So, pwede ng ating submission ng of procurement documents through email or fax, depende po sa procuring entity. But of course, this electronic online submission of the procurement documents must be provided doon sa mga bidding documents mo or sa RFQ mo na the submission will be online. Kasi pag hindi mo nilagay, hindi din guided yung ating mga bidders na ito pala, pwede pala yung submission na ganito. Especially kung ang procurement mo, small value procurement. So, hindi sila guided na pwede pala na i-submit, allowed the submission of through online. So, although usually pag alternative, ginagamit yon, pero there are agencies na nagsisealed quotation sila, so kailangan mong pumunta talaga sa agency. So, the use of this measure is not automatic. Kailangan may mga requirements ka rin na kailangan i-comply. So, i-discuss natin in the later part yan. Kailangan lang nating i-encourage yung ating mga procuring entity na magkaroon ng parang isang official email para gagamitin natin para hindi pa iba-iba yung email kung saan mag-i-email yung ating mga bidders or prospective bidders or suppliers. Another is the use of other forms of digital signature, electronic signature in all procurement-related documents. Allowed din ito. So the use of other digital form is allowed provided that the procuring entity shall make sure that they can ensure the security, yung integrity and authenticity of the documents bearing the digital signature. Kasi kung hindi po nila yan ma-secure, so baka pwedeng nakawin yung signature ng ating BAC gamitin sa iba. So dapat may sariling guidelines ang yung ating department or procuring entity in how to do it. And then next is ito naman yung ating electronic submission and receipt of bids. So, ano po ba yung mga ating requirements for the electronic submission and receipt of bids? So, online electronic submission and receipt of bids for procurement modalities where two envelope procedure or sealed price quotation is required shall be allowed. So, yun yung sa electronic. The BAC shall decide whether to allow, depende kasi yan sa BAC, kung nahihirapan or wala ka namang facilities to do it, so the BAC will decide whether to allow it or not. Kasi titingnan mo rin yung facilities ng iyong procuring entity. Kasi kung wala ka naman, hindi mo naman kaya, so huwag ka na lang sumugal o huwag mo na lang gawin. Baka later on, magkamali-mali pa. And then through the GPPB online portal. So this is created by the GPPB and makikita nyo ito sa GPPB websites. This can be a venue of the bidder to submit their bid electronically. So if we use the GPPB online portal in posting, we also use the same portal in the opening of bids. So doon ka nag-post, dapat doon ka rin mag-open ng bids. Honestly kami sa DILG, hindi pa namin ginagawa to. Mix pa rin yung submission namin. Yung submission namin manual, pero yung pag-open namin, nakikita ka Zoom. So nakaka-participate yung aming mga bidders through Zoom. Nakikita nila yung kung anong ginagawa namin. So dapat, equip ka rin or meron ka rin mga facilities na kaya mong gawin yon, na makikita kung ano yung binabasa mo, nakikita kung ano yung sinasabi na documents, makikita nila lahat yon doon sa mga naka-Zoom. So, if you are going to use this portal, the procuring entity must register first doon sa ating GPPB online portal. Kasi pag hindi ka pa naka-register doon, so hindi mo rin siya pwedeng gamitin. Okay. Next is submission through any electronic available. Ito yung sinasabi ko kanina na may mga requirements din tayo. So, ano po ba yung ginagawa? Yung archive format compression, password and password protection. So, paano ba ginagawa yan? Then, tapos, password protected bidding documents. So, yung password ni bidder, i-disclose lang niya yan during the opening. So, kahit kumbaga, hindi ma-open ni back hanggang hindi pa schedule for opening. So upon receipt of the first and second envelopes, procuring entity shall generate a bid receipt page for the official time of submission, which can be saved or printed by the bidder. Dapat meron siyang maka-generate siya na pwedeng magiging basis ng bidder na ito na-receive na pala, in-acknowledge na ako, yung auto acknowledgement natin. So, yun. Ang question kasi, unang question dito, siyempre, din yung mga bidders natin, di ba? Tatakot din yun, baka ma-open o mag-leak yung aking submission na ito yung bid ko. Hindi ba mabubuksan ang bid submitted online before the opening of bid? So, sinabi ko nga kanina na yung password ibibigay lang ng bidder doon during the opening. So, there are two-factor security. So kung hindi tayo mga IT, lalo na ako, hindi ako techie, ang alam ko nga lang sa cellphone, call and text, open ng email, open ng Facebook, yun lang, mga basic. So merong two-factor na we have to consider. Security factor. So yung use of archive format compression. So the document submitted online must be converted to archive format compression. Term archive format compression. Yun pala yung malagi nating makikita pag may nag-email sa atin na naka-zip files. So ibig sabihin, nandun lahat yung mga sinabmit nila na documents. So all documents submitted must be password protected to ensure the security, again, integrity, and confidentiality of the bid submitted. The password, yun nga, ulitin ko, password will be given only by the bidders during the opening. So kung wala pang opening, hindi pa ibibigay ni password. Also, ito yung gamit natin, dapat yung system natin is capable of generating an audit trails and transaction to ensure the security, integrity, and authenticity of the submission. So makikita yung kailan na-receive, kailan pumasok. So, yung meron tayong trail of transaction. So, mag-generate din siya nung sinasabi nating auto-acknowledgement para alam ni bidder na natanggap na pala ni procuring entity yung bid ko. So, na-receive ko na yung acknowledgement. Para kung hindi siya naka-receive ng auto-acknowledgement, so pwede siyang mag-coordinate with the procuring entity. Tawagan niyo yung procuring entity na nag-email na po ako, hindi pa ako naka-receive ng ganito. Kasi system po yan. Kumbaga, hindi natin hawak kung magluloko or hindi. Okay. Next is through the GPPB online portal. The GPPB online portal established under item 9.0 of the GPPB Circular 01/2020 shall be further developed to allow for the online submission of the bids and receipt for the submission and receipt of bids. So ang GPPB portal online portal naman shall ensure the security and integrity and confidentiality of the bids din. So kaya nga po may kakaroon din sila ng audit trail of transaction para ma-guided din yung ating mga bidders. Okay. I just don't know kung 100% na po siyang becomes operational. And another is the GPPB certification of electronic submission and receipt of bids. So, kailangang mag-issue ng certification. Ang basis natin dito, so tingnan nyo yung mga basis natin yung GPPB Resolution 12/2020 for the certification using GPPB prescribed format. So, on the right side, makikita nyo yung sample ng certification. Yan po yung ikokopyahin lang natin or i-download natin sa GPPB website. So, this certification must be issued by the highest official managing the information technology system of the agency. So, kung sino po yung head, bureau head, or department head ng ating information technology system, siya po yung mag-i-issue ng ating certification. Describe the electronic system or procedure to be used by the procuring entity for electronic submission and receipt of bids and compliant with the requirement under Gpp Resolution number 09/2020. This must be submitted to the GPPB TSO through IT certification at gppb.gov.ph. This is a one-time requirement. Hindi mo na siya paulit-ulit. Pag nakakomply ka na nito, nag-submit ka na ng certification, kasi ito na yung gamit mo, after that, hindi ka na magsasubmit kung may mga succeeding procurement ka. Isang beses ka lang mag-submit. Okay. Next one is procedure and additional guidelines for online electronic submission. So number 1, the invitation to bid, including the bidding document, shall clearly state whether the procuring entity shall allow the submission and receipt of bids through electronic means. Dapat maliwanag po yan sa ating bidding documents. Hindi po pwedeng hindi nakalagay doon. Tapos bigla mo na lang sabihin sa yung bidders ay kailangan on the middle ng or magsasubmit na ay kailangan palang online submission kasi bawal kaming face-to-face. Hindi po ganun. Bidder shall submit their number 2, bidder shall submit their bids through any of the above mentioned online or electronic facilities at any time before the closing date and time specified in the bidding document. So kasi kahit online yan, meron pa rin tayong deadline of submission na susundin. And last one is upon receipt of the first and second envelope, procuring entity shall generate a bid receipt page for the official time of the submission, which can be saved or printed by the bidder. Para ito naman yung hawak ng sekretarya, may proof sila na itong oras mo na-receive. Like for example, late pala. Itong oras na receive mo. At the same time, meron ding hawak yung bidders natin na itong oras na to na-receive yung kanilang submission ng bids. Okay. Meron pa pala number 4, as with manual submission, bidders may modify or withdraw their bid at any time before the deadline of submission and receipt of bids. Where a bidder modifies its bid, it shall not be allowed to retrieve its original bid and shall only be allowed to submit another. So lalagyan, kung allowed to submit another, lalagyan mo lang doon, mark modified bid or modification. So for electronic bid submission, the same din. Bidder shall send another bid equally secured, properly identified, and labeled as modification of the one previously submitted. So, dapat merong modification para ma-determine or makita ng back, ito pala yung modification. So, ito yung babasahin ko. So, the time indicated in the latest bid receipt page generated shall be the official time of submission. So, yung kung kailan mo sinubmit yung modification, yun yung magka-count na oras. Hindi yung unang submission mo kasi may modification ka. Ano yung mga alternative documents? So, allowed pa rin natin ito, yung mga pag-receive ng mga alternative documentary requirements. So, yung ating unauthorized securing declaration, unauthorized omnibus sworn statement, yung expired mayor's permit. Pero itong expired mayor's permit, kahit before, tinatanggap na natin to. But nakaibahan lang po for the Resolution 09 doon sa 2016 IRR kasi yung expired mayor's permit doon, kailangan isubmit mo yung mayor's permit mo during POSQUA. But dito, pwede mo isubmit yung mayor's permit mo on the payment. Then, performance securing declaration in lieu of the performance security. So, yan po yung mga mga alternative documentary requirements. Only applicable during the state of calamity or implementation of community quarantine or similar restrictions. Pag sinabi nating only applicable during state of calamity and the implementation of community quarantine, of course, dapat meron pong declaration yung ating province ba, yung ating municipality, city, or barangay. So, dapat may declaration ng state of calamity or community quarantine. Okay. Ito naman yung example of the performance securing declaration. So, pwede nyong ma-download yan yung sample natin of the performance securing declaration sa GPPB website. Similar to the PSD used in the framework agreement. Kung gumagamit kayo ng framework agreement, that such declaration shall state among others that the winning bidder shall be blacklisted from being qualified to participate in any of the procurement activity for 1 year in case of first offense, 2 years if with prior similar offense in the event that it violates any of the conditions stated in the contract. So, yun sinasabi. Pero, may procedure pa rin ito. Kasi di naman ka automatic na mag-suspend. Dapat may blacklisting procedure ka or ano yung procedure allowed. Usually, pag ganito, sa blacklisting procedure ka, yung 1 year, so, tingin mo okay lang kasi notaryo-notaryo lang. Madali lang ito, notarize mo lang sa bidder dyan sa gilid-gilid. So, minsan, pag mahigpit yung TWG at saka back pati yung signature, ang dami na namin na-disqualified, tinitingnan namin yung signature ng mga lawyers. Kasi maaring dyan lang sa gilid-gilid siya pinanotarize, hindi mismo yung lawyer ang nagnotaryo. Okay. Then, suspension. Suspension and termination of procurement activity. Suspension of the conduct of procurement activities, stalling of a period for procurement projects, and cancellation or termination of procurement activities during a state of calamity or implementation of community quarantine or similar restrictions. When we say suspension, the procuring entity will only stop the procurement. So, alam naman natin yun na stop lang natin yung ating procurement activities adversely or interrupted by the declaration of state of calamity or yung ating implementation of community quarantine or kung ano man yung similar restrictions. So, mag-continue siya after the lifting of that declaration or declaration ng state of calamity, quarantine, or similar restrictions. So, yan po yung sinasabi nating suspension. So, kung cancellation, termination, then totally, tanggal mo na talaga. X na yon, hindi na tutuloy. But of course, you have to inform the bidder na kinancel nyo. And what are your reasons or justification kung bakit na-cancela ito? Then, suspension of procurement, tolling of periods for the procurement of activities. Pag nag-suspend ka lang, dapat nag-stop din yung period of activities mo. Hindi yung tuloy-tuloy pa rin yung activities mo. So, yan yung sample natin of the tolling of period. So, example, yung bid opening mo is May 12. Then, on May 28, ongoing post-qualification. However, on May 29, nag-issue ng notice of suspension. So, from May 12 to 28, meron kang 16 days. On June 29, nag-issue ka, yan yung told or suspended na period mo. On June 30, nag-issue ka ng resumption. So, maximum period if tolling is not applied, dapat August 10, tapos na yung procurement mo. Because the maximum period to complete the 3-month procurement process. So, dapat hindi ka lalagpas doon sa 3-month or 90 days procurement process. But since nagtotol ka ng period mo, nag-toll mo from May 29 to June 29, matatapos or makomplete mo yung 90 days period mo on September 12. So, ganun yung yung binawas mo lang doon, yung May 29 to June 29. So, hindi ka mag-start ng fresh. I-continue mo lang yung kulang or yung hindi mo pa nagawa doon sa procurement process mo. So, yan po siya, in sample. Okay, Ms. Kai, for the knowledge check.
All right, for the first knowledge check for this topic, please key in your answers in the Zoom polling feature. And the question is, the efficiency measures in the conduct of procurement provided under Gpp Resolution number 09-2020 may be applied to which modes of procurement? A. Competitive bidding and negotiated procurement emergency cases. B. Alternative methods of procurement. C. All methods of procurement. Or letter D. Negotiated procurement emergency cases and lease of real property and venue. So again, I think we're just having some technical difficulties. For our participants, you may utilize the Zoom chat box to answer our poll question. The question is, for the benefit of the other participants, the efficiency measures in the conduct of procurement provided under GPPB Resolution number 09-2020 may be applied to which modes of procurement? A. Competitive bidding and negotiated procurement emergency cases. B. All alternative methods of procurement. C. All methods of procurement. Or D. Negotiated procurement emergency cases and lease of real property and venue. Okay, I think majority of our participants answered letter D. Is this the correct answer, ma'am?
No, the correct answer is letter C, all methods of procurement. Kasi kanina, di ba, paulit-ulit po ako, regardless of the mode of procurement, regardless kung anong procurement yung gagamitin natin, applicable po ang Resolution 09-2020. Siguro na nami-mislead lang sila kasi nga, we are discussing more on emergency cases on this. So, ang emergency kasi is under negotiated. But this is not applicable only to alternative or negotiated procurement, but this is applicable to all methods of procurement. Ms. Kai?
All right, thank you so much for that explanation, Ma'am Leslie. I hope our participants have answered or will be answering correctly next time. So again po, let's proceed with our lecture.
Okay. So, dito na tayo sa simplified posting and electronic submission of procurement report. Take note on this kasi may mga papansin natin dito or madidiscuss natin dito yung mga deadline for submission natin or yung ating mga compliance under RA 9184. Okay. For our basis on this posting of procurement reports, the Gpp Resolution 11-2020 and the GPPB Circular number 02-2020 dated May 20, 2020 and took effect on May 27, 2020. So ano po ba yung mga posting requirements natin? Or ano po ba yung nakalagay dito sa Resolution 11-2020? The posting of APP, PMRs, duly approved by the HOPE in the designated sections of the procuring entity websites or in the absence of such at any conspicuous places reserved for the purpose within the premises of the procuring entity. So dapat meron tayong nakalaan na conspicuous places or meron tayong nakalaan, there's a ground floor, kung depende sa setup ng building, meron kang bulletin board doon na doon ka magpo-post ng iyong mga procurement activities or yung iyong mga bid opportunities. Kasama po yun lagi sa posting natin. Huwag niyong kalimutan kasi si head ng secretariat nag-i-issue ng certification na nagpo-post kayo sa conspicuous places. Yung pala, hindi naman. So pag malaman po yan, maaring makakasuhan si head ng secretariat na nag-i-issue siya ng certification. Yun pala, hindi naman tayo compliant doon sa pagpo-post in conspicuous place. Then the GPPB shall no longer post the said procurement report on the website. So before kasi nagpo-post tayo doon sa GPPB website. Ngayon hindi na po siya nare-require. Doon na lang sa ating procuring entity website. So next, electronic submission of procurement. Ano lang po ba yung kailangan nating i-submit? All procuring entities shall likewise submit to the GPPB the respective APPs, PMRs, and APCPI result natin. Duly approved by the HOPE or his or her duly designated second ranking official through electronic mail in the following format. So Microsoft Excel file and yung ating PDF format. So printed copies hindi na required to hindi na natin kailangang i-submit sa GPPB. So ito lang dalawa yung ating Microsoft Excel file and the PDF format yung ating isa-submit. Okay. So saan po tayo magsasubmit? So maliwanag na po yung mga email, madali lang po itong memorize. So pag APP sa app@gppb.gov.ph sa PMR, PMR@gppb.gov.ph, ang APCPI naman sa APCPI at gppb.gov.ph. So, ang idadagdag lang natin at gppb.gov.ph. So, kung ano yung i-comply natin, doon tayo, yun yung magiging unang word doon sa email. So, in case of discrepancy in the submitted copies, the data provided in the PDF file shall prevail. Kasi yun yung hindi po pwedeng baguhin. Hindi po magagalaw kasi yun yung, kumbaga yun na yung PDF file, sign na yun ng ating head of the procuring entity. Okay. A procurement report shall comply with the GPP prescribed forms posted and downloaded from this link. So, tingnan lang natin. Yun nga sabi ko sa inyo, meron doon, makikita nyo yung mga downloadable forms sa GPPB website. Ito yung mga links, doon tayo kumuha ng forms. Huwag tayong mangopya ng ibang forms, baka magkakamali po tayo ng ating mga forms na nakuha. And then, prescribe form in posting. Ito rin, makikita din ito sa GPPB website natin. So, research lang tayo. Ang mag-i-issue po natin, ito yung sinasabi ko kanina, nag-i-issue ng certification of posting na nagpo-post tayo doon sa ating, nag-post tayo sa ng ating APP, PMR, nagpo-post tayo sa conspicuous places. So, ang mag-i-issue nun si Back Secretariat Head. So, siya yung mag-issue nun. Pag hindi pa natin nag-comply, sinabi lang natin sa kanya, oo, nag-post tayo, baka later on, pagsisiyan natin yun. Sinabi mo mag-post, yung pala, hindi naman. Reminder on APP electronic submission, the APP shall be approved based on the approved budget of the agency. So, dapat hindi tayo lalagpas yung ating APP, dapat hindi po lalagpas dun sa budget na nakalagay sa ating ano nga yung sa LGU, yung appropriation ordinance natin. So, magkano lang po yung nakalagay doon na budget natin, hanggang doon lang po tayo. Submission of indicative APP are not considered as compliance. The GPPB TSO shall not accept any submission of the indicative APP as the same is required only to be posted in the transparency seal of the procuring entity's website. So, hindi natin sinasubmit yung indicative APP natin. Yung indicative APP natin, ina-attach natin yon sa ating proposal. At the same time, pinopost natin doon sa ating transparency seal sa ating procuring entity website. Hindi natin, paano malalaman ng GPPB na indicative pala yung sinubmit? Pag nag-submit ka prior to the approval of the budget. Like for example, wala pang in-approve na appropriation ordinance tapos nag-submit ka na ng indicative mo or APP mo doon sa GPPB, meaning ang sinubmit mo is yung copy ng indicative APP, hindi po yung APP na, kasi yung ating indicative APP, pag wala kang babaguhin or after revision, kung meron kang babaguhin, magiging APP lang siya after the approval of the budget or appropriation ordinance or GAA sa NGAs. So, corporate budget. So, yun. Pero pag wala pang approval nun, indicative pa lang ang tawag natin doon. Kaya nga, nire-revise. Pag indicative, revise, pwede tayong mag-revise ng mag-revise. Pero kung APP na yan, at submitted na yan sa GPPB, once nag-revise tayo, kailangan may panibagong approval or mag-a-update tayo, may panibagong approval ng head of the procuring entity. Hindi yung i-correct mo lang doon. Kasi baka makikita yan na binago mo, tapos nag-submit ka na sa GPPB. Iba yung sa GPPB, iba yung nasa iyo. Okay. And then, electronic submission of procurement reports. So, ano po ba yung kasama nito? A complete APCPI submission shall include the following accomplished forms. Yung ating APCPI, take note, ano po yung mga forms na sinasagutan natin: self-assessment form, consolidated procurement monitoring report, APCPI questionnaire, and action plan. Dapat kasama po yun sa sinasubmit natin doon sa GPPB. Okay. For the deadline of submission, take note, APP, first submission natin ng APP. Kung mapapansin nyo, January 31 of the current fiscal year. Kasi usually na-approve yung ating budget circular mga January. So yung pagpa-finalize natin, kaya we're given up to 31. Depende naman yan, nag-i-issue naman ng guidelines yung GPPB pag sakaling hindi na-approve ng January yung ating budget. Okay. Changes within first semester, July of the current fiscal year. So, doon tayo magsasubmit. Ano po ba yung laman ng changes natin? So, dapat naka-indicate na doon kailan mo pinost, kailan ka nag-award ng contract. So, yung form ng APP doon sa timeline, i-fill up mo na yon. And then, second semester, January of the succeeding year. PMR naman, July 14 of the current fiscal year, and second semester mo is January 14 of the succeeding fiscal year. For the APCPI annual, March 31 of the succeeding year. So, take note of this deadline of submission. Kasi hindi naman ito nagbabago unless lang hindi pa na-approve yung budget natin ng January or may mga calamities na hindi natin or may mga justifiable reasons. Kaya nag-i-issue po yung ating GPPB kung kailan yung magiging deadline. Okay. For the reports, extended deadline. So, ito yung sinasabi ko, mayroong extended deadline ng submission, changes in the first semester noong 2020. So, tapos na ito dapat. So, September 30 na tayo nag-submit. Inallow ng changes in the first semester. Then, changes second semester, inallow tayo up to March. So, first submission ng APP, March din. First submission ng PMR, July 2021. So, dapat tapos na natin lahat ito. Yung hindi na lang natin na-submit or second semester ng ating PMR on January 14. So, tingnan no, balik ulit po tayo sa regular timeline natin, January 14, 2022, and the APCPI move po siya ng June 2021. Submission of the below reports is acceptable up to June 30, 2021, provided with justification from the HOPE ay yung 2020 APP for second SEM. So, kailangan meron kang justification. Bakit hindi mo na-submit on time? GPPB TSO acknowledgement, auto-acknowledgement. So, dapat pag nag-submit tayo, dapat nakatanggap tayo nito. Yung receipt of the auto-generated acknowledgement from the GPPB TSO upon submission of the certifications and reports. So, kung hindi po tayo nakasubmit dito, kailangan nating i-contact yung GPPB. Kasi importante po ito kasi para meron tayong proof na nag-submit tayo. Pagdating sa atin, pag audit sa atin ng APCPI or pag audit sa atin kung meron tayong PBB, yung performance-based bonus na nakalagay doon, non-compliant, ay may proof tayo ay nag-submit po ako. Ito yung auto-receipt na na-receive ko from auto-acknowledgement na na-receive ko from GPPB. So, ang auto-acknowledgement, in case of non-receipt of auto-acknowledgement within 1 hour from the submission, the procuring entity shall resubmit the certification and reports to the same electronic mail address. So, if no acknowledgement is still received, the procuring entity shall call the following GPPB TSO division. Ito yung mga telephone number natin. 79006741 244. So, kailangan tawagan natin sila to confirm na meron na tayong na-submit. For certification of electronic bid submission and receipt, Information Management Division naman po. Procurement, for procurement reports, Performance Monitoring Division. So, yan po yung ating mga in charge, mga division. Magkaiba po ang nagtatanggap or magkaiba po. Kaya napapansin nyo kanina, iba-iba po yung email natin doon nakalagay. Kasi iba-ibang division po ang in charge doon. Okay, ito yung performance-based bonus na lagi kong sinasabi or binabanggit kanina. Compliance with the PBB. The procuring entity shall be responsible for ensuring the correctness, completeness, and timeliness of their submission to be determined compliant and eligible for the grant of PBB. Of course, pag nag-submit ka, may auto-acknowledgement kang na-receive. But it doesn't mean na yun na yung tama na yung correct na yung sinubmit mo, complete at saka timely, makaka-receive ka talaga ng auto-acknowledgement. Hindi porket late ka, hindi ka makaka-receive ng auto-acknowledgement. The receipt of auto-acknowledgement serves only as the proof or procuring entity's proof of submission and does not guarantee compliance in the terms of correctness, completeness, and timeliness of the report. So, yun yung sinasabi ko. Okay, makaka-receive ka ng auto-acknowledgement, but it doesn't mean na compliant ka na. Okay. Next one is the list of complying agencies. So makikita mo, the GPP TSO shall post a list of complying procuring entities or those which have submitted their APPs, PMRs, and APCPI results on the GPP website. So check lang po tayo doon sa GPP website para malaman natin kung compliant na tayo or not. Okay. Ma'am Kai, for the knowledge check.
Yes, ma'am, we are now down to our second knowledge check for this topic. So the question is, Pursuant 1 to GPPB Circular 02-2020, the Back Secretariat shall submit a certification to GPPB stating that the PE's APP and PMR, duly approved by the HOPE, have been posted in the agency's website or in the absence of such at any conspicuous place reserved within the premises of the PE. Is this statement true or false? So again, may I please remind the participants to please change your name into the correct naming convention, which is your municipality name underscore your full name. So this is a basis for us to check your attendance in Zoom. So if we're not able to verify your attendance, we cannot be able to provide your certificate of participation. If you're having problems in naming yourself using this convention, please don't hesitate to contact any of the training secretariat in our Zoom platform. So again, please rename using the correct naming format. Okay, ma'am, I think we have the majority of our participants who have answered true. Is this the correct answer, ma'am?
Yes, the correct answer is true. So nakinig po pala sila. The secretariat, this is the requirements together with the submission ng ating APP and PMR electronic submission. The head of the secretariat shall likewise submit a certification to the GPPB. Kasi yung wala naman tayong proof doon sa pag-post natin ng conspicuous places. So naka-indicate doon na magsi-certify si secretariat na nag-post tayo sa PhilDeps, sa procuring entity websites, and conspicuous places. Okay, Ma'am Kai?
Thank you so much po, ma'am. And let us now proceed to our final program or final part of the program. Thank you po.
Okay. For the last, I think this is the last topic that we have. So take note lang dito sa ating mga hindi siya detailed talaga yung ating mga updates para lang po meron kayong guidance or meron kayong idea kung ano yung mga basis natin for the procurement updates, policies, and innovations. Okay. We'll start with the GPP Resolution number 06/2021 and GPP Circular 02/2021. So ano po ba itong GPP Resolution 06? Ito po yung guidelines for emergency procurement under Republic Act 11525 or COVID-19 Vaccination Program Act of 2021. So applicable po siya, itong resolution na to, applicable po siya for the procurement of COVID-19 vaccines procured through, of course, hindi naman tayo pa makadirect na mag-procure. Yung procurement natin pa din is through DOH and National Task Force COVID-19, yung ating NTF. And also applicable to the procurement of ancillary supplies and services or other goods and services necessary for the storage, yung transport, deployment, and administration of COVID-19 vaccines as defined by DOH. So, ito yung ating isa sa ating innovation or updates natin. So, ano ba ang usually ginagawa dito? So, tingnan nyo lang yung mga conditions mga requirements natin. Yung negotiated procurement, kasi procurement of vaccines is under negotiated procurement. Emergency cases po yung gamit natin dito as the procurement modality to be reflected in the annual procurement plan. And then procurement may commence without the approved APP subject to the validation of funds for the purpose and submission of approved APP prior to payment. Kasi nga 'di ba sabi ko nga kanina, ang procurement nito is hindi tayo ang magpo-procure, hindi ang LGU, hindi ang NGAs, so ang magpo-procure nito ang DOH. So as long as there is a confirmation that you have funds intended for this, kahit wala pa yung approved APP mo, pwede mo nang i-coordinate with the DOH or NTF para masimulan na po nila yung negotiation with the suppliers or bidders natin. And then documentary requirements under NPL negotiated procurement emergency cases shall not apply for COVID-19 vaccine procurement as this will be determined by the DOH and NTF in their negotiations. So kung ano yung i-discuss sa inyo during the alternative methods of procurement lecture na requirements for the negotiated procurement emergency cases, hindi po siya applicable dito kasi iba po yung requirements natin dito sa pag-procure ng vaccine. Then, number 4, advance payment may be made up to full cost of the contract price if the same is required by the supplier, manufacturer, distributor, or service provider. Sa regular kasi hindi tayo allowed for advance payment, full advance payment. So, dito po sa procurement of vaccine, ito po yung exemption, allowed po siya under this Resolution 06-2021 and GPP Circular 2-2021. Okay? Another is GPP Resolution 15-2020. So ano po ba nakaloob dito sa GPPB Resolution 15-2020? Ito po yung natin for the simplified bidding documents and the PBD builder. So dito sa Resolution 15-2020, approve the use of simplified PBDs for goods and infrastructure projects for the preparation of the bidding documents. So sabi nga kanina doon, mapapansin nyo kanina, di ba, pinalabas, kahit ngayon makikita natin yung ginagamit natin na bid docs from 112 pages, so nagiging 40 pages na lang siya. Umunti na lang yung babasahin ng ating bidders. Approve the use of PBD builders in the GPPB online portal for the online preparation of PBDs for goods and infrastructure project. So ano naman po yung laman ng GPPB Circular 04-2020? This is the guidelines on the preparation of simplified PBDs for goods and infrastructure projects and submission of required form. Kasi yung GPPB resolution, ito po yung nag-approve. So, bipirma lahat po yung mga GPPB members natin doon na approving the use of simplified bidding documents. Ang circular naman, ito naman po yung magiging guidelines natin kung paano natin gamitin yung ating simplified PBDs for goods and infrastructure projects. Okay. So next is the GPPB Resolution 14-2020. This is the use, ito naman po yung online blacklisting for DPPB online blacklisting portal natin. So makikita nyo, kung gusto nyong tingnan yung ating online blacklisting portal, i-click nyo lang yung https://www.gppb.gov.ph. Okay. Ang GPPB Resolution number 14-2020 requires the use of online blacklisting portal for posting and updating of status of the blacklisted entities in the consolidation and in the consolidated blacklisted report. So, ano po yung ating online blacklisting portal features? Yung ating online blacklisting online features, mayroon siyang posting of blacklisting orders. So, si procuring entity magpo-post doon nasa ng blacklisting orders, automatic updating of status of blacklisted entity, and then automatic updating of the consolidated blacklisting report and automatic notification to the procuring entity, GPPB TSO, and field JEPs. Yan yung features ng ating online blacklisting online blacklisting portal. Dito naman, yung ating GPPB online blacklisting portal, so meron na tayong, ito yung numbers ng procuring entities registered. So, meron tayong 144, 2020, merong 118, as of June, ito mid ng June 24, 2021, 2021, merong 26. And then, the revision of forms. So, revision of automation of forms. Development of web online application for the automation of forms for the annual procurement plan, procurement monitoring reports, and agency procurement compliance and performance indicator results. So, para ang purpose naman dito, eliminate inefficiency and errors, readily available information, and convenient and user-friendly yung ating revision and automation forms. Okay. So, for the accountability and transparency in government procurement, ang basis natin is GPP Resolution 04-2021 and GPP Circular 01-2020 dated March 4, 2021. So ano po ba nakalagay doon? Provides a user-friendly checklist that guides procuring entity on posting requirements under RA 9184. Its associated issuances and recently as required under AO number 34 series of 2020. Yung itong AO 34, ito yung may additional posting requirements tayo doon sa social media. But I think this is only applicable pa lang sa executive department. So I just don't know kung ano na rin siya doon sa kailan siya ma-require for the LGUs and GOCCs. Newspapers, publications of post-award information of contracts with approved budget of 50 million and above as mandated pa rin ng AO 34 series of 2020. Reiterates the mandatory use by all procuring entities on the online blacklisting portal and further mandates agencies under the executive department to post the consolidated blacklisting report on their website and social media. So, posting of social media, so required na po siya. So, ano po ba yung mga pinopost natin? So, yung ating RFQ, yung ating bid docs, so dapat nakapost na rin po yun. For executive department, nakapost na po siya sa social media. At hindi rin naman po siya bawal, kung meron din po yung ating LGUs, hindi naman po siya bawal na ipopost din nila doon sa kanilang social media. Okay. Online access to observers. So, nabanggit ko na rin kanina ito ng online monitoring for observers using the field JEPs. So, procuring entity to provide online access to observers for monitoring all stages of the procurement using the field JEPs. So, kung gumagamit na tayo nito, just take note, ang basis natin dito is GPPB Circular 01-2020. Okay? So, procuring entities to inform the GPPB TSO via email if online access cannot be provided. And then, for the GPPB Procurement Dashboard. So, yan po lahat yung makikita natin sa dashboard ng ating GPPB. Timeliness of procurement, bid statistics, suppliers participations, procurement risk, and gender mainstreaming. So, tingnan lang natin kung hindi pa natin na-visit yung ating GPPB, just check your GPPB website para makita po ninyo ito yung mga dashboard, etc. etc. Okay. For the GPPB online portal. So, basis natin for the GPPB online portal, yung GPP Resolution 06-2020, ito po yung online platform developed for the posting of information related to conduct of procurement activities through emergency procurement under the Bayanihan Act. So, kung ang procurement mo is through Bayanihan Act, kailangan mong i-post ito at ang nakalagay, dapat dun sa posting mo nakalagay yung project name, yung ABC, contract period, name of the winning supplier, amount of awarded contract, notice of award, date of award, and acceptance, contract, or purchase order, and certification. So, kailangan nating i-post din ito in compliance with Gpp Resolution 06-2020. So, for the GPPB online portal, ito yung makikita nating procuring entity registered. So, overall, 1,708, 2020, 1,503, 2021, 205. So, makikita natin contract awarded, awarded contract posted, ito yung mga amount, number of suppliers registered. So, bisitahin natin para makita natin in actual yung ating ano. For procurement diagnostics, interim review of procurement performance, meron din doon review on the procurement performance of procuring entity based on first semester PMR, which shall gather information on the actual conduct of procurement, assist the procuring entity by providing diagnostic feedback on the conduct of the actual procurement, and generate report for possible policy researches. So ating indicators nito, readiness of the procurement projects, efficiency in procurement, and early procurement activity. So dapat yung ating early procurement activity, nagsisimula na po tayo today. Kasi patapos na po yung ating taon. Ms. Kai, back to you for the knowledge check.
All right, we're now down to our final knowledge check. So for our last question, kindly flash please to our technical team. The question is, PEs are mandated to use the online blacklisting portal. Is this statement true or false? So for our participants, if you have related questions, you may kindly use the Zoom chat box. So participants can send their questions while the program is still ongoing. Also, a copy of the presentation materials will be provided at the end of the 5-day training. Please make sure that you have registered in our GPP BPSO OTMS and the daily attendance, since the certificates and presentation materials will only be provided to those who have successfully registered and have completed all requirements to this training. Okay, ma'am, I think we have majority of our participants have answered this poll question. Majority have answered true. Is this the correct answer, ma'am?
Yes, the correct answer is true. The procuring entity is mandated to post their blacklisted suppliers, bidders, or contractors in the online blacklisting portal. Okay, Ma'am Kai.
Okay, ma'am. I think this is the last slide for this topic. So
Yes,
that ends our discussion proper. Again, thank you very much, Ms. Leslie Canyafranca of the DILG. At this juncture, please be reminded that questions again are filtered, as our speaker shall only be answering the questions related to our second learning session. But before this, I think we will be taking a 5-minute break, ma'am, to collate all the questions for our open forum. So let's be back after 5 minutes. Thank you so much.
Okay po.
The Philippines is going to buy green. Our government is taking the lead. The Philippines' Green Public Procurement Roadmap guides the way forward by considering local business capacities, climate, environment, health, and value for money. Our government procures thousands of items every year to serve the Filipino people. When government is the single largest buyer in a market, its procurement decisions influence the direction that businesses take. Green public procurement is about buying products which are low carbon, are healthier, avoid harmful chemicals, and are manufactured through cleaner processes. They are efficient to use and consume less energy and water. At the end of life, precious materials are recycled. GPP reduces the pressure on the environment. GPP is a partnership between the government and businesses. GPP opens up new, exciting, and reliable opportunities for businesses supplying green products. This in turn makes green products also affordable for private households. A first batch of 20 product categories has been prioritized for GPP, and more will be selected over time. The priority common supplies and equipment products are multi-copy paper, toilet paper, record books, cleaners, chairs, disinfectant sprays, trash bags, liquid hand soap, detergent powder, and LED lights and bulbs. The priority non-common supplies and equipment products are computer and laptop monitors, air conditioners, vehicles, fridges and freezers, copiers, paints and varnishes, food and catering services, training hotels and facilities, toilets and urinals, and textiles such as uniforms and work clothes. The well-established public procurement processes in the Philippines, such as the PhilJobs, will ensure fairness, transparency, and open competition for the green venture. Everyone can become an active consumer of green products, which save energy and water, are not harmful for health and climate, and which are recyclable. The Philippines is going to buy green. Our government is taking the lead. The Philippines' Green Public Procurement Roadmap guides the way forward by considering local business capacities, climate, environment, health, and value for money. Our government procures thousands of items every year to serve the Filipino people. When government is the single largest buyer in a market, its procurement decisions influence the direction that businesses take. Green public procurement is about buying products which are low carbon, are healthier, avoid harmful chemicals, and are manufactured through cleaner processes. They are efficient to use and consume less energy and water. At the end of life, precious materials are recycled. GPP reduces the pressure on the environment. GPP is a partnership between the government and businesses. GPP opens up new, exciting, and reliable opportunities for businesses supplying green products. This in turn makes green products also affordable for private households. A first batch of 20 product categories has been prioritized for GPP, and more will be selected over time. The priority common supplies and equipment products are multi-copy paper, toilet paper, record books, cleaners, chairs, disinfectant sprays, trash bags, liquid hand soap, detergent powder, and LED lights and bulbs. The priority non-common supplies and equipment products are computer and laptop monitors, air conditioners, vehicles, fridges and freezers, copiers, paints and varnishes, food and catering services, training hotels and facilities, toilets and urinals, and textiles such as uniforms and work clothes. The well-established public procurement processes in the Philippines, such as the PhilJobs, will ensure fairness, transparency, and open competition for the green venture. everyone can become an active consumer of green products, which save energy and water, are not harmful for health and climate, and which are recyclable.
All right. Once again, let us have our resource speaker, Miss Leslie B. Canya-Franca, for our open forum. Miss Leslie?
Yes, ma'am. Ah,
Okay.
yes po.
Okay po. For our technical team, kindly flash the first question. Yun po bang notice of suspension and resumption ay need po bang i-post sa PhilJeps?
Okay. Hindi na po kailangan i-post sa PhilJeps, but you have to post it in the procuring entity website. And at the same time, padalhan niyo po ng copy yung ating mga participating bidders. So makikita niyo naman kung sinong nagpa-participate na mga bidders, padala natin ng copy. Like for example, yung suspension natin is nasa pre-bid na siya after. So malalaman na natin yung sino yung ating mga participating bidders. Pero pag hindi pa po natin alam kung sino yung ating mga participating bidders, pwede na po doon lang sa ating procuring entity websites. Miss Kai?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much po. For our second question, paano po kung may fund galing sa national, example po ay LGSF fund, need po pa rin po bang i-reflect sa APP?
Yes po, pero actually this question can be addressed also tomorrow. Pero sagutin ko na rin po. Once na meron pong downloaded fund to the LGUs, once nasa inyo na po yung pera, pag meron siyang akibat na procurement, you have to reflect in your APP pa din. So kung hindi po siya nakasama doon sa original APP nyo, kasi po wala pa naman siya hindi pa siya na-download, mag-update po kayo ng APP para i-reflect nyo po yung funds for this.
Okay, ma'am. For the third question, is there a webinar or methodology for the step-by-step preparation for APP?
I think parang si Ma'am Kai ang makasagot dito.
Yes, ma'am. Actually po, bukas po madidiscuss yung planning po. Medyo
Yes.
excited po yung ating mga participants, ma'am.
Okay, sige. Basic sasagutin ko. For the step-by-step preparation of the APP, it's up for the procuring entity kasi. Because yung ating module for the procurement planning, general po siya kung anong gagawin. Pero as to how to prepare the APP, yung kumbaga yung procedure lang doon is kanino mag-start and kanino mag-start, ano yung gagawin, ano yung i-consolidate. Bukas po lahat madi-discuss yan. Hindi ko pangunahan yung speaker tomorrow kasi yung steps on how to prepare the PPMP and APP, bukas po yun i-discuss.
Thank you po. And also thank you din po sa nagtanong kasi alam po natin na naging excited po siya na mag-prepare ng APP. Okay po, for our last question, what is the difference between notice of negotiation and request of quotation noted on the drop-down in the PhilJeps posting website?
Notice of negotiation. Yung notice of negotiation natin, yung sa ating yung doon sa ating, di ba po sa consulting services or saan pa ba yung may negotiation? Yun yung binibigay natin. O sa alternative, ano bang may negotiation? Yun po, doon tayo nagbibigay. Yung request of quotation naman, yung ating RFQ or yung ating bid opportunities sa other mode of procurement. So, ang kaibahan nun, negotiated, notice of negotiation, nasa kalagitnaan ka na ano bang particular procurement na may negotiation. Ano ba sa alternative ang may negotiation? So, yun yung ibibigay, kumbaga, yun yung ibibigay mo doon sa iyong bidder for the negotiations. So, mostly nagagamit po natin ito sa alternative methods of procurement. But for the quotation, yun yung lahat. Meron tayong request for quotation for alternative methods of procurement. Advance din ito advance yung question. Although, lahat po ng request for quotation, like for example, yung ginagawa natin sa small value procurement, sa sa direct contracting. So may mga request for quotation po tayo. Yun po yung sinasabi dito. Yung negotiation naman sa two-field bidding, pansinin nyo, mayroong part doon na mag-negotiate tayo. So lahat ng participating bidders, qualified bidders, bibigyan po natin sila ng notice of negotiation. Ma'am Kai.
All right. If you have more questions, you may still ask them out by visiting slido.com. And all you have to do is just type in the event code #governmentprocurementph, to which the GPP BPSO shall answer through an issuance or through FAQs. At this point, we would like to thank again our resource speaker, Ms. Leslie B. Caña-Franca, for graciously accepting our invitation and for extensively and enthusiastically attending to the concerns and questions raised by our participants for today's learning session. And to our participants who have actively participated all throughout the course of our program for today, thank you all very much. And to our winners, congratulations, and please check your emails or chat box as our technical team shall coordinate with you on how you may claim your special token. Now, before we proceed to the final reminders, allow me to provide a recap or bird's eye view of our today's learning session. Today, we had an entire session on Government Procurement 101, where we had a comprehensive discussion on the key features of Government Procurement Reform Act, as well as an in-depth discourse on procurement organizations and its roles. We also had a profound discussion on the legal indemnification packages, where we highlighted the various assistance given to the members of the Bids and Awards Committee and its support staff. We also had a fruitful discourse on the efficient procurement measures, simplified posting, and electronic submission of procurement reports, procurement updates, policies, and innovations, where we highlighted the use of video conferencing and the conduct of back meetings, the use of digital signatures, and the GPPB online portal. We also discussed the simplified posting of procurement reports and through online or electronic submission. Finally, we also had a meaty discussion on the accountability and transparency measures in government procurement, along with the recent issuances and policies of the GPPB. Today's session are, of course, led by resource speaker Ms. Leslie Caña-Franca. Once again, we do hope that you were able to have a deep dive in our today's learning session on Government Procurement Reform Act and the efficient procurement measures, simplified posting and electronic submission of procurement reports, procurement updates, policies, and innovations. So for the final important reminders, again, we would like to remind the participants to please accomplish the participants' daily attendance form for day 1 by visiting the link or scanning the QR code provided in the chat box. Rest assured that all the information gathered for this online training shall be treated with utmost confidentiality, consistent with the provisions of the Data Privacy Act. Please be advised that the certificate of participation shall only be issued to the participants upon completion of the general evaluation, module evaluation, and resource persons evaluation by using the OTMS link provided and the OTMS control number given by our events secretariat. Finally, for tomorrow's session, please be reminded that the program shall start at 8 a.m. And we would like to request everyone to please log in at least 10 minutes before the program. Also, please be advised that we shall again be using the Zoom platform, which credentials shall be flashed or provided by our events secretariat. Finally, we will request everyone to please switch on your cameras to commemorate this learning session with our resource speaker. Ma'am Leslie, let us have our group P. On my count, 3, 2, and 1. For second page, 3, 2, and 1. And for our last page, again, 3, 2, and 1. So that's it. That concludes the first day of the online training for the Municipal Local Government Units on Government Procurement Reform Act, or the Republic Act number 9184 and its 2016 revised implementing rules and regulations, on behalf of the Government Procurement Policy Board Technical Support Office. This has been your facilitator, Kyla Tiongco. Thank you all very much and see you all tomorrow. Happy lunch, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you,
everyone.
Leslie.
Thank you po.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you sa inyo lahat. Stay safe.